All right, I'm back. Hello, everybody. Tom Caldabiano Sunday. This time I am not muted. Now you can hear me. Just plugging in a few mics. Hello, everybody, again. So last week we were joined by Lisa Helfrich-Jackson, who is the line producer on Everybody Loves Raymond. Lisa has so many great stories. And I'm hoping that she will be on many, many times. She's great. She, other than Phil and Ray, she probably knows more than anybody, especially about the production. There's stuff that Lisa knows that Phil and Ray don't know. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Gil. Hello, Joanne. Hello, everybody. Hello, Donnell. Hello, Leo. Yes, now I will plug in my mic. And great. Can you hear me now? I hope. So, a little change. Hello, Sweden. A little change in format, not much. When I have a guest, I'm going to do an hour. When I don't have a guest, I'm going to do a half hour. And when I don't have a guest, I will show the inside of a script. This week, it is the car episode packed with Polaroid pictures that have never been seen before. So let's hear some questions. And there's a couple things that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Emmys. Something that was told to me, which I think is great to remember, is the room. When you go to the Emmys, the room fills up with losers. So when you have 6 or 5 nominees, only one can win. So the Emmys throughout the night, when you're sitting in that Emmy room, it's filled up with more and more losers. Now, that's not a pessimistic way to look at it. That's just what it's like. And you wish that you knew which group you were going to be in, but of course you don't know. You don't really know because it's a legitimate thing. Yes, quick questions. Doris is really, yes, Doris was in the car. So I repeat questions because they go away when it replays. So did Doris drive the car through the set? Doris was in the car and it was on a pulley and then it did go through the set. So Doris was through the set. Leo, your mom always said we're all winners. Interesting, Leo. A good thing to go by. Yes. So the car episode, just going back because we'll talk about it more. And again, for those of you just joining, this is Tom Caldabiano, writer on Everybody Loves Raymond. And I want to go back and thank a couple of people for a few things. We will talk with Lou Schneider a little bit more about the car episode, but I remember it was one of the few times in season 1 when Phil had the writers come in on a Saturday to come up with ideas. And I remember when Ray's wife happened to be visiting at the time because Ray and his family decided to stay in New York because most shows get canceled and Ray is from New York. So rather than move his whole family when most shows get canceled, rather than moving his twins and daughter and wife out and then have it get canceled and then have to move back again in November, they decided to stay in New York. But she was visiting during that weekend, I remember. And I remember getting back from the writer's room and telling Ray, oh, you're going to be happy about this episode, and Anna, you're not going to be that happy about this episode. And we'll have Anna on, by the way, as a guest, Ray's wife, to talk about what it was like. But in the car episode, if you remember, Ray didn't want to get rid of the car because it had certain memories for him. So I remember I suggested the car, which is a 70 Plymouth Valiant in there, and we'll scroll through. I'm excited because I've never seen the Polaroids that I will be sharing with you towards the end of this session. All right, Leo. Did ELR always have the same director? No. And TV is a much different animal than movies, for example. And multi-camera, which is what Everybody Loves Raymond is different than single camera. So on a show like Friends or Seinfeld, you could have a lot of the same director for many of the episodes because the show is generally shot in the same location. So when you do something like a single camera episode series, let's say Desperate Housewives or Sex in the City, those are shot like a movie. So there's a lot more prep work to be done. And so they can't have the same director because the workload is too much. So you'll see on single camera shows that a lot of times they alternate directors. Now, Ever's Raymond, because it was such a below the radar, not expected to last show, we had many, many, many directors the first season. A lot of the directors, as a matter of fact, my agent told me she talked one of her clients, who was a director, out of directing an episode of Ever's Raymond in season 1 because the show probably wasn't going to last. So, and ultimately, a lot of shows, like for example, you'll notice the name Gary Halvorson. Gary Halvorson directed a ton of Raymond episodes. He also directed many Friends episodes. So on Ever's Raymond particularly, because Phil was so active in directing and on the floor, as we say, the floor is the stage, directing scenes, he wanted a director that he could rely on, who was fast and who the cast liked. So in general, if you see the credits, you'll see that there's a lot of different episodes. Let me see who directed this episode. And again, I know it's backwards because it's Instagram. So this was directed by Howard Storm. Howard Storm was an old-time comic director. I think he's still with us. All right. Bobby, what was my point of view for the car crash through the wall? So remember, that's called the Wallpaper episode, episode 100. I was in a catwalk looking down. That's what my view was. Plymouth Valiant. Yes, Plymouth Valiant. 1970 Plymouth Valiant is the car, Karen, in Plymouth, England. Scrolling through. Yes, Anna will be a great guest, and I'm hoping that Anna and Monica can be on at the same time because it's great to hear two of the wives' perspectives. I also want Patty Heaton to come on with her husband because it's it's just great to hear the spouses' perspectives. And of course, I just found a great photo, which I'll share with you, of Patricia Heaton's real husband, David Hunt, who was in Ever's Raymond. He played Parker. I will share that with you. So yeah, and also Ray is, what I was going to say is Anna doesn't love to be on camera, so it'll be great if Monica can have a little time with Anna to share the spotlight. Do writers have agents? Yes, writers have agents. They don't have to have agents, but for the most part, you need an agent. Very few writers who are working can do something without an agent. It would be great to have Les on again and hear his real story. Lou on again. Karen, are you talking about the writer? Delta variant. I see. That's a joke. I get it. Why was the set different on episode 1? It was changed by episode 2. Adrian. Hello, Adrian. Yeah. So episode 1 was shot, I believe, in March. And the show was something called a presentation pilot, which means that there's not a lot of money to be spent. So the sets, very often time, even if it's a regular pilot, and the pilot, by the way, in the old days was just called the audition tape or film. You would do an audition. And so, for example, the I Love Lucy pilot was not called a pilot at that time. It was the audition thing. So on Ever's Raymond, they put together the set, and then between the time it was shot in March and finding out that it was picked up, because most shows don't get picked up, and the time that it was shot again, and I'm going to say the first episode was shot, the second episode was probably shot in July, the end of July or beginning of August. Now they have to scramble and do the set decorating for real. So a lot of the set that you see in the pilot might not have been available It was also shot at Universal Studios, and then the show shifted to Hollywood Center Studios, a completely different studio. So some of the set was probably from the studio dock, they call it, at Universal Studios, and then it was probably not available to go to Hollywood Center Studios, where I Love Lucy was filmed season 1 and season 2. Off-topic question. Why did Deborah and Marie always dress up? Dresses, heels, etc. It wasn't the era. Who came up with the clothes? It wasn't the era. Well, I think Marie would dress up all the time. I think Deborah looked kind of frumpy. We tried to make her look frumpy as much as possible, like a housewife who's put upon and doesn't have the time to get dressed up but wishes she could. And if you guys saw the documentary, which I highly recommend, Exporting Raymond, you'll see Phil has an argument with the costume designer in Russia because the costume designer says, look, the wife is on TV. She should be dressed up and look like she's on TV. And Phil has to explain, but we don't know she's not on TV. She's playing a housewife. And maybe she wants to be dressed up, but she can't be because she's raising 3 kids and doesn't have time. So, but point out the episodes where Deborah was in high heels and really dressed up with a frequency. So I'd be curious. Also, we had her kind of working. I hope that answers the question. But yeah, I feel like Marie comes from an era where you would get dressed up to go flying. You would be, it just was a more formal time for someone of her generation. But very, very good question. Doris was never in her slippers like you'd expect her to be. I don't quite get that one. Yes, favorite episode is where Marie is painting the questions. Yeah, so post if you find, did people, this is a good question, did people feel that Deborah was dressed up too much? All right, I want to thank, by the way, everybody who chimed in. So I had a black and white photo that I shared, and it was from The Prodigal Son, and for some reason, I don't have a proof sheet next to me, but on the proof sheets, it always says this is season 4, episode 12, wallpaper or whatever it is, and then the proofs number and all this stuff. And this literally just said season 4, and it was black and white. Barbara from Long Island, I sent you pictures of the exteriors of the houses as they look now. Did you see them? I think I did. Did you send them? If people want to message me, I recommend messaging me on Instagram, direct messages on Instagram. Then I may not see it right away, but eventually I would see that. Yes. So thank you, Barbara. For those of you that don't know, the actual exterior of Ray and Deborah's house and Frank and Marie's house is in Long Island, and they are across the street from each other. And nobody from the cast or show, as far as I know, has ever been there. Next time I'm in Long Island, I would like to go there. Hello, Gary. Did Ray Romano and Brad Garrett get along in real life? Yes, they got along extremely well. And apparently Ray, who was in Las Vegas Friday and Saturday at the Mirage, and if you ever get a chance, try and catch Ray's act. Apparently Brad Garrett surprised Ray, and he came on stage. That's what Ray tells me. Anyway, I Love Lucy. Noah Zvokos. I Love Lucy turns 70 years old this month. Wow, that's a long time. And the amazing thing about I Love Lucy is it really set the stage for how sitcoms are done in so many ways. But the live 3-camera shoot, we morphed into 4 cameras, but that live trying to do the scenes in front of the audience. Now, what they initially thought of on I Love Lucy was they were worried that an audience wouldn't sit for the time it took to reset and do scenes twice. So Desi wanted to shoot it live all the way through, which would be almost impossible because they said Lucy would have to wear all the wardrobe and then just rip it off slowly, so she would look like the Michelin Man at the beginning, which was crazy to think about, and even more crazy when you know now. If you come to a live filming, anybody who's come to the filming of a sitcom, you sometimes are sitting for 3, 4, 5 hours. On Friends, I think they would go 6, 7 hours to shoot 22 minutes of TV. So, but that initial thing of shooting for a live audience in the order that the show is meant to be seen and having them provide the laughter was very unique in 1951. And it's exactly what they still do today. Yes. Okay, so Leo, let me scroll back. Alternate endings for the finale. There was, Phil had an idea that he wanted to do, and Ray wanted to do like a normal episode. So not a crazy 1 hour episode, because you knew that some shows, their episodes, their finales were a bit of a letdown, because what you liked about the show is the normalcy of a 22-minute episode, and the big type of episode sometimes fell short. So that was the goal, to make it a normal episode. So there was, as far as an alternate ending, once Phil and Ray, I think, landed on what they wanted to do, there really wasn't like a mysterious, Phil was not going to have Ray be killed off, because that would just be sad, because then every time you watch the show, you'd think, oh no. So I think the point was you have a normal episode. It is the last episode, so Ray could die in this episode. So the audience is emotionally hooked when he doesn't get revived. And so, but you want to know in your mind that family is still together and still being annoyed by Marie. Yes, Michelle. I think I heard one of the walls in Marie's kitchen was recycled from Edith Bunker's kitchen. Any truth to that? Yes. I think part of the All in the Family set was used in the Everybody Loves Raymond set. So I would have to say it's so I heard that while the show was going on the air, while the show was on the air. So I don't know that that's not true. But it'd be interesting to watch episodes of All in the Family and see where that shared set, where they meet. Is Phil doing any new projects? Gary, Phil is on Netflix on a show called Somebody Feed Phil. And that reminds me, I'm going to take a picture of this. So there's Phil. Life is too short. Life short. Talk with your mouth full. I know it's backwards, but that's what it says. So if you're on Netflix, if you haven't seen Somebody Feed Phil, it's a really great show, and he eats and shares great experiences around the world. If you haven't seen it yet, I really recommend. I really recommend that. Hello again. Yes, hello. Yes, this is Tom Caltabiano, writer on There Was Raymond. Can you get a copy of the script? I think maybe you can find scripts on eBay. Lucy and Desi, so innovative, yes, and also, yes, absolutely. You have to give some credit to the Carl Freund, who was their DP, and Jess Oppenheimer, who was their showrunner, etc. Donnell, Kristen Bauer played Lisa in the car episode. I remember her in True Blood and Magnificent in Once Upon a Time. She's great. Oh, interesting. I didn't know she was in Once Upon a Time. Thank you for following up. Princess Christine, you were lucky enough to see Home Improvement film back in the day. Great fun and see you all. Yes. Everybody's Raymond was a great time to watch a live filming. Yes. The sex talk was absolutely hilarious from beginning to end. Was that based on any true experience? Anyone on the case? So, Sex Talk, I think, and people you know, but I thought Sex Talk, the Sex Talk, is that what it was called? Because Talk to Your Daughter, I think, was written by Ray and Tucker Cawley. Yes. So I think yes, that was based on a real life thing. So Leo, am I surprised that it's still popular after 25 years? When Phil, we would sit in the writer's room and Phil would say in interviews, I'm doing this for, at the time, something called Nick at Night. Nick at Night would show just a bunch of reruns. So Phil took out a bunch of, it made sure there were no current references at all. So the time you could not pin the time of the series and it would be timeless. Okay. Here's a question. For future reference for me, in a studio audience, can they come and go as needed or specific times to leave seat and come back, like for restroom breaks? So that's a funny question, a good question. So is the question, do they let you go to the bathroom? Yes. Can you leave for 2 hours? You can do everything. So it's not like a prison. In some ways it is, though, because it's a very long filming. But yes, within reason, you have freedom to come and go and get up and leave at a studio, at a filming. But you don't want to miss the show. But yes, let's say you have to go to the bathroom a bunch of times or check in with somebody, you can. They definitely will. I don't know if they take your phones because what they, in the old days, there were no cell phones, but if a cell phone goes off during the filming and it's costing $2, $3, $4 million to make that episode, they really, really don't like it if a phone goes off, for example. So you may, let's see. Sex Talk was when Marie admitted to enjoying her sex life but lies about it first. Interesting. Yes, I have to ask about it. Yes, the Frank fell through the stairs. We had stunt guys. Peter did his actual fall. I think it was a breakaway portion of the steps, and then he landed on a mattress, and we were worried about him when he landed and he came out. I'll post those pictures. He took a big bow. Karen, it's a shame ELR didn't get to do some sort of 25 anniversary celebration. Yeah, it may still happen. Obviously, it may not happen for the 25th anniversary, but what Phil was trying to do, Ray and Phil were going to gather the cast and maybe reminisce, kind of like the Friends thing. So it might still happen. So did you guys film the entire episode in one night, or is it over the course of multiple days? Yeah, great question. So a multi-camera sitcom, which is where you shoot it on the stage with multiple cameras, is 99% they shoot it in front of the live audience to get the laughs. Some scenes might be filmed before or after because they don't have time. But for the most part, even if I went to a couple Seinfeld filmings, and if they had a New York City street and it's Jerry and George are walking down the street, they'll have Jerry and George walking in front of the stage, and the audience warm-up guy will say, okay, we have a scene coming up. It's going to be on a New York City street, but for now, George and Jerry are going to be walking in front of us, and you're going to imagine that they're on a New York City street. But the whole benefit and idea of doing a multi-camera sitcom is to do it and have the audience experience it like a play from beginning to end. Hello, Redlands Redhead. Where did the idea for the AIS episode come from? I still refer to when I am leaving as AIS. Yeah, so that was a show by Steve Skrovan. Steve Skrovan wrote it, and he was talking about lateness and all of the writers when he announced that, we have a problem with my wife, I have to wait for her in the car, etc. The actual AIS expression came from writer Aaron Schur, who had a friend of his father who would constantly say that. That people are still tells you, yes, Leo, yes. The fact that people are watching it 25 years later is great and a testimonial to the quality of the show. Yes, very good I agree. So, and it's so in reading about I Love Lucy, they had no clue that anybody would be watching the show 5 years. There was no such thing as a rerun. The actual first rerun was an I Love Lucy episode. But even when Desi and Lucy sold their rights to the film of I Love Lucy, they thought, well, how long could it last? 5 years? I mean, how often do you want to see an episode? Now, did you see the Seinfeld promo for the Netflix airing of Seinfeld? They're putting a lot of money into that. It's a promo with Jerry and Bryan Cranston. So this continual, and I think it's because the mentality of I Love Lucy or Seinfeld or Ever's Raymond or Friends, it's a feeling. It's an entire, you like the cast, you like the feeling you get from watching these episodes. Yes, you wish it could last forever, but it can't. Hello, Cheryl. Was the bank teller, the checkbook, the same person who was the postman in Alone Time? How many actors were staff members? Parker's wife, Carrie, for instance. Great question. I will have to look up the checkbook. Is the checkbook and Alone Time? Boy, Alone Time and the I don't know. You can look that up of who the actor was. I wrote the checkbook episode, but I don't remember who played the bank teller. So for the most part, Elizabeth Herring, who played Carrie, she was an actor who Phil knew from Hofstra, and she did work on the show, but she was also an actress, just like Phil's wife, Monica, was an actress. And so it wasn't that many people from the series played actors. Usually they would give it to an actor, if that answers your question. Was there any talk of Deborah having to get a job? I know early on she tried to get one, it didn't work out. Yeah, both with Ray and Patty and Deborah, the thought was it's not about their job. It's about family life, and so that was why we didn't really pursue it, or it just didn't make sense because it was so rich to explore the home life, and generally. That's where you wanted to see. You wanted to see the interaction with Marie and the family. Is it hard to keep the kids from getting distracted by the lights, cameras, and the studio live audience? No, the kids, in our case, the kids were great. And you're also rehearsing for the whole week. So it would be one thing if you took people who have never been on a stage and put them on a stage. Because, yes, it's 200 live people looking at you and lights and all this stuff. And I have heard from people who worked with actors who are used to doing movies, that it would take them out, like a movie star would be on the set and be like horrified because they're not used to performing in front of a live audience. How long did it take to film one episode? Approximately, for an Everybody Loves Raymond episode, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours to film an episode. And you have to, so that's to film the episode. It takes a week to rehearse it. It takes a week to edit it. It takes a few months to write it. So there's a lot of work. The actual filming is the shortest portion of the work that goes into an episode. Yes, so it's not a yes. Deborah, no, that's funny. Okay, sorry, I'm reading, skimming through. I like in the Halloween episode. When they gave out the condoms and the candy, Deborah on the phone said, no, it's not a political statement. Hello. Great. When did ELR first get shown in the UK and other countries? I think I only started watching around 2005. Excellent question, Karen. I don't know the answer to that. But the show got syndicated, I'm going to say around 2003. So I don't know when it made it to the UK. Every single market makes an individual a deal. So wherever it airs, in UK or Australia, which are both big markets, I don't know. That's perfect for fans to answer when they first saw it in the UK. Yes, the policeman in the checkbook is Ray's brother in real life. Ray's real policeman brother, Richard, is the policeman who comes in and breaks up the Ray trying to get his money out of that ATM machine. Raymond was always drinking ginger ale. Yes, he loved ginger ale. I think it was Canada Dry ginger ale. Yes, so filming in one night. Still love the episode. Yeah, so if you think about it, for the filming length, you're talking about 22 minutes of actual broadcast time. So when you watch an episode of American television on an American television, it's 22 minutes and something like 45 seconds to the second. When they play it in syndication, they sometimes cut out scenes, so it'll play shorter, and you'll be like, oh, I'm missing something. That's weird. So if you film it in 22 minutes, everything is double the length because you always film every scene twice. So now you're up to 44 minutes. So with zero mistakes and zero allotment for moving the cameras and and changing wardrobe, you have to be at 44 minutes. So, sorry, at the shortest. So that's why 3 hours, if it's really well done, 3 to 4 hours is probably it. So if we started at 5, we were usually done by 9 or 10 at the latest. Was Doris Roberts anything like her character in real life? I don't, there's so many aspects of that character. So I don't think so as far as the overbearing mother. You know what? We'll have to have Doris's real life son join. I don't know if he's on Instagram. His name is Michael Kanata, and he's a very nice guy. So we'll have to ask. But Doris was a blast to hang out with. Doris was great. Okay, are you guys ready? This is the peeking into the inside of a script. So for those of you that haven't seen this before, these are Everybody Loves Raymond scripts. These are the wardrobe department scripts. And in the wardrobe department, when they would dress somebody, they would have to take a Polaroid photo. Nowadays, they take it on their iPhone. They would take a photo of the cast members on the set while the show was filming. So the show would film a first take. Okay, cut. The wardrobe department would usually come in, go flashing, which means you're taking a photograph with a flash, and the flash is going to go off. And the reason you say that is because the head of lighting and the DP and everybody's sitting there, and if they see a flash, they go, uh-oh, did a light burn out? Because if a light burned out, the show is going to look different between takes. So the wardrobe department tried to be as discreet as possible, but they still had to yell flashing. So a lot of the photos that you'll see are the cast members not looking at the photo, not looking at the photographer, rather they're talking to Phil or something like that. And so then they took those and they would staple them to the page of the scene of every script. And I have all those scripts, and I'm going to show, we're going to look at the inside of the car, which was written by Lou Schneider, directed by Howard Storm, and it was shot December 16th, 1996. All right, so let's turn through, and here's all, I know it's backwards, so I apologize, I don't know how. There's all the cast members, there's the scene numbers at the top, and those are the wardrobe changes that they had. Okay, so let's go to the first page. Okay, opening titles. There is Raymond. Now, we might have been shooting opening titles then. Opening titles are the beginning, and I don't know, season 1, I don't know if we were shooting that conveyor belt thing. Okay, but, okay, so here's something called, this is the teaser. So there's Ray. The teaser is the beginning of the episode. You can see Patty. Give me some hearts if you're enjoying this. You can see Patty in the background. You can see Ray is kind of making a funny face. So here, and even because it's wardrobe, they have to go, okay, this is where the clothes was hanging up. And it's very important for continuity, because if the editor is looking and they go, those jackets were switched in between scenes, then it could be problematic. Okay, here we go. Are you recognizing this from the car? So this is the B scene. Okay, so we see Ray from the steps, and again, this is backwards. Nothing I can do about it. And here's Ray again doing a funny smile. I can't tell if that's Patty behind him. So in a wide shot here, here's all the photos of one page, and you can see at the top, again, it's backwards, but it says Raymond. So when they're going through, they know everything is labeled. And when we have, oh, this is a great photo. Here we go. This will trigger a memory. There we go. That's the one I posted. That is the flashback of Raymond in the car, looking very 1975. His hair. If you go online and search, you can find Ray's high school picture, and that hairstyle is pretty close to how he really looked. Okay, here we go. Here's another in between, and then this is a great one. Here we go. After, if you've seen the episode, this will make sense to you. There's Ray in the car after being hit by the fire extinguisher. These are great to see. These are rare. Now here's another flashback of Ray. There we go. That really looks like, if you look up online, everybody, if you Google Ray Romano high school photo, you'll see that he looks pretty. They did an outstanding job. Okay, let me scroll through, see if I've missed any questions. Yes. Here we go. Okay, so for those of you that are super fans, it says opening titles. So we must have shot something for opening titles. Because there is no such thing in a script as opening title. So there's Peter and Doris looks surprisingly white in the face, right? Her makeup is a little bit extreme. And I think someone brought that up in the past. So here we go. All right, there's Peter. So scene, yep, there's Peter in his sweater, and I think that's Brad Garrett walking behind him, and it looks like I missed a photo. There you go. There's Peter. Great. Looking a little bit startled. Oh, this is great. Here we go. Here is Brad Garrett, opening title. So for you fans, maybe could it have been the conveyor belt for the opening titles? The conveyor belt one where Ray's spraying the thing, I think that would have aired then season 2 or the end of season 1, something like that. Okay, opening titles, very interesting. Good to know. PAL, for those of you, it's backwards. That's Brad. That's Robert. PAL's Police Athletic League. There's Robert in full flashback. This is great. Let's see if it'll focus. Brad in full flashback. There we go. I don't know if the photo is blurry and it's not focusing. Yeah, I think it's just not focusing. Try and get rid of the glare. There we go. Yes, that is a great photo right there. Brad Garrett in full flashback. And then here we are. This must have been the end of the scene, the end. The D scene, which I know is probably later. So there we go. Brad Garrett looking good as he usually does. Here are the twins. I'll race through this. There's the twin. Look how young the kids are. Season 1. Those are the Sweeten twins. Ah, yes, Patty Heaton. So at this time, I believe season 1, Patty was pregnant. And so there's Patty in the teaser. Now, it's interesting that there's not a picture of her for opening credits. So that says teaser and the A scene. And there's the teaser interesting. Patty finding the camera. There we go. Now, some scenes get cut, so sometimes, so there we go, in the middle of the show. That's more one, like I said, where they just kind of run in and the actors are in the middle of it. Again, we're looking through the Car episode, Season 1, filmed December 16th. We were at Hollywood Center Studios where they shot I Love Lucy. Great to see these photos of Patty. Now, this is her also. Oh, that's great. That's her. Her with the, after being hit by the fire extinguisher in the car episode from season 1. All right. Doris in full color. So opening titles, okay. I'm going to have to scroll through and see if you guys remember these opening titles. And here, again, they always shot, so those are Doris's earrings, which they had to make sure they shot. And let's just, and here's Doris. Yep, that's in the middle of a scene. You can tell, a lot of actors around. Doris again. That's great. These are great to see. Again, first time anyone has seen these in probably 25 years, including myself. So here's probably, yes, showing Doris's earrings. Then here's Doris later on. Give me some thumbs up if you guys are enjoying this. Oh, again, Doris's earrings. So, yeah, they really have to pay attention to detail. So when you guys are watching and you see a couple of mistakes, it's because there's a lot going on. There's Kristen Bauer in the car, and in the car with Ray. Great to see. Yep, so she was in, I guess, 2 scenes. This scene and scene, it's hard to read, it's backwards, but that's a great shot. You can see Ray's left arm in there. And Kristen. And I thought that she was dating Fabio at the time. And there's Maddie. There's Madeline Sweeten, who plays Allie. And let's see what else we have. Oh, at the end is, yep, more of Allie and the twins, and Allie again. I'm sure she would love to see these. And there's the last photo, Madeline Sweeten during the film. So again, this is the car episode, Backwards for You, shot December 16th, 1996. That's the wardrobe copy. All right, let me scroll through. Wow, look at the time, everybody. Yes, 30 minutes is hard. Yes, Donnell. Okay, great. Thank you for all the thumbs up. You guys enjoy that? I definitely will do it. How much time after wrap of episode to post and then audio sweetening? Yeah, there's really no audio sweetening per network and producer approval. So, Happy Hawaiian Boy, yeah. It takes about 40 hours to edit, and then there's the post-production, which is music correction. And yes, sorry, there's no laughs added because we use all the native laughs. But as far as the final mix, the final audio mix, that was usually, I think that was a day to do the final mix and color correction. So I think within a few weeks, the show would air. So we didn't have the luxury of time. So it wasn't like they would shoot an episode for the most part. They wouldn't shoot an episode in July and be like, you know what, we don't have to air this until December. They almost always were under the gun to finish an episode. Yes, Patty was pregnant, and Ray and I wrote the season 1 finale called Why Are We Here? And the reason it worked out perfectly is we had a flashback, and Patty was pregnant in real life, so she didn't have to wear anything because she was really pregnant. pregnant. Was Peggy only supposed to be in the Cookies episode? Did the writers want to bring her back? Yes, she was a great character. So once there's a great character who hits a home run, for example, Alex Manessis as Stefania was a great character. And so anything that makes your life easier as a writer by having a fantastic actor, if you can, if it's true to the series and you can have them back, you will have them back. Kevin James or Leah Remini. Yeah, I would love to have Kevin or Leah on. I don't know. I would love to have them on. Yeah, that is a great idea. I don't know, Karen. I'll find out what the white stuff was that they hit him with the... you have a signed... in-great script signed by everyone. Value that. That's a rare thing. They filmed Our Mix Brooks next door to the Isle of Lucy at the same stage. Yes, probably. That might have been at the Cahuenga studio. All right. Final questions, everybody. I will see you next week with a guest, and I will do the full hour, even though we almost did the full. So this is my version of the 30 minutes. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Tell your friends to follow this site, to follow Instagram, the Everose Raymond 360, especially fans, because due to algorithms, unless you advertise, it only goes out to a certain number. So there's millions and millions of Instagram users, and there's only about 15,000 people that these posts reach organically. So if you know any of those Raymond fans, steer them this way. And I have to say, I really enjoy those Polaroid photos that have not been seen for 25 years, and they're the first time I've ever seen them. So, all right, thank you so much, all of you fans. See you next week.